This is one of Europe's quirkiest theme parks, and here's why. Visitors to Conny-Land will encounter an unconventional selection of attractions, rides that are either original to Conny-Land or can very seldom be found elsewhere. This includes their headlining attraction Cobra, a bizarre packed shuttle coaster, an indoor highly themed special effects drop tower, this bizarre zipline thing, one of the smallest roller coasters you've ever seen, and so much more. And that's impressive to say, considering that this is a relatively small park. Only about 7.5 acres of land, which is wildly impressive considering they claim to have over 60 rides and attractions. Now included in that number are things like the children's playground, or a show, even this random bouncy house. But it doesn't change the fact that they have really managed to squeeze in a lot into this one confined space. The plot of land that Conny-Land sits on forms a square shape right in the middle of the rolling hills of Switzerland, directly next to a couple small villages. The nearest big city is going to be Zurich, about 40 minutes southwest. The park is also not too far away from Lake Constance, if you know where that is. They got their start back in 1983, originally known for their dolphinarium. Think of this like a small SeaWorld style park. You might notice when you enter Conny-Land, you see these dolphin fountains, but there are no dolphins today. Well, that is why. They previously were home to around 10 dolphins and did multiple shows a day, but unfortunately the living space for these animals was really limited, and so the park received a lot of scrutiny from animal rights activists. In a span of 3 years, they had 8 bottlenose dolphins die, which caused the Swiss government to enact a ban on dolphins in the entire country. That happened in 2012. So in 2013, the remaining 2 dolphins were relocated out of the park. Today, Conny-Land is home to sea lions, which use up that same space. Now, I personally have not heard any major complaints with the sea lions the same way the dolphins did, but I know there are people who really hope that they relocate the sea lions out of the park one day, and frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. From an outsider perspective, it seems like it might be in the park's best interest to just focus on rides, but it seems like the park owners are very proud of their sea lions. I got to see some of the trainers interacting with them, and they genuinely did seem to care about the animals. Conny-Land has multiple sea lion pirate shows a day, as well as interactive upcharge experiences where you can dine with the sea lions or swim with them. I did not partake in any of these. I didn't even get around to see the show, so I can't really comment on that experience, but it is something to be aware of should you choose to visit. So I'll kind of walk you guys through my personal experience at the park. I'll discuss the various rides and attractions that stood out to me, as well as bring up a few notable points of interest. And I'll start with that arrival experience because this is really quite a small park. You just have a narrow grass parking lot and a modest front entrance. Most of the layout for their biggest roller coaster, Cobra, actually extends out into the parking lot. So that's like the first thing you see, and it makes quite the impression. It immediately draws you in with that OMG wow factor of doing the vertical loop and then dangling riders upside down. Unfortunately, the ride experience is not the best. There's actually a full separate review of Cobra already up on this channel. Please go check it out if you want to hear about that ride specifically. But also next door is their S&S Tower. It stands 183 feet tall, opening in 2018. It's a traditional space shot, so you rise up, then get thrust back down. These are great attractions and of course has an awesome view at the top. Now, in terms of a day ticket to Conny-Land, if you buy it at least 3 days in advance, it is about $40 US. Should you buy it at the gate, you're going to pay $47 US. So I'm not going to lie, it is a little expensive for what you get. I've definitely paid less for much larger theme parks in Europe. But the price also doesn't surprise me because Switzerland in general is a very expensive country. So everything you pay, even down to the food, is going to cost you. We ate at the market right to the front entrance. It's buffet style. You just scoop up what you want and then they weigh it at the end. And the price really does add up. I was shocked at how much lunch cost me at Conny-Land. Sarah and I each paid about $20 US for essentially a bowl of noodles. Luckily, it at least tasted good, but definitely something to be aware of should you plan to make the visit. Now, the general atmosphere when you walk in is actually quite interesting. Because of their limited space, they have packed in just about anything they can, and sometimes that creates an odd juxtaposition in terms of atmosphere. You might have these beautiful themed European facades and then directly next door, a couple carnival rides. It's inconsistent. They've actively made an effort to theme things when they can, but that does not extend necessarily across the board. I also found it quite amusing that from the front entrance, you could look straight down the midway and see the back of the park. It made navigating Conny-Land extremely easy and frankly be kinda hard to miss something. And depending on how much you want to do, this might just be a couple hour commitment. We did a half day at Conny-Land and that was more than enough time. Managed to get several rides in on Cobra and ride some of the more unique attractions that they had around. Lines for us were extremely manageable. Cobra in particular was a walk-on, and that only has one train with 16 passengers at a time. So that tells you that it seemed like it was a one and done for most people. The longest line that we encountered was for Mammoth Tree. One, it is low capacity. It only seats a handful of people, and there's only one vehicle at a time. So if you find yourself in the scenario of rope dropping Conny-Land, I would go here first. The ride experience, though, I gotta admit, was very strange. It's almost treated like a large zip line, but you rock back and forth. And on the return trip, you stop in this giant tree, the doors close, and there are fire effects, sound effects, and you're like, what the heck is going on? And the doors open, and then you return to the station. Definitely an odd one, and that's kind of a running theme at Conny-Land. We encountered this very small splash battle called Voodoo Wet and Splash Island. It's like a hybrid between a raft ride and a splash battle, because it actually has a drop, which I thought was pretty interesting. This flat ride that we encountered was interactive. You have blasters and shoot targets on a central tree. I've never seen that done anywhere else. There's a decent looking log flume, an interactive shooting dark ride that is very Jurassic Park-like. You'll see a zip glider shooting across the midway. I'm used to attractions like that being an upcharge, but this one is included with your visit. Their smallest roller coaster is too small for adults. Only kids can fit on it. It is one passenger at a time, and it is tiny. I couldn't believe it. And what a jump it is to go from this attraction up to Cobra. Cobra, I think, is probably too intense for this park. It's a little out of place, I'm not gonna lie. Everything else here is very family friendly, and that attraction is, well, not. They are at least bridging the gap for the 2025 season with the addition of an RES rollerball. It looks to be their largest one yet. It's positioned on top of a building, so great use of space, and they're adding some theming to it, which I applaud them for. They easily could have just opened it up as is, like the one at Wiener Prater, for example. But instead, they're going above and beyond. And that seems to be the running theme for the newer attractions that they put in. This includes Crazy Professor. This indoor ride has its own dedicated midway, and the whole section around it just feels newer. It's less cluttered, and there's more attention to landscaping. The queue is very detailed. This is a story-driven ride. While I can't speak for sure, it felt like it had a much higher budget than everything else here. And so for that reason, this was actually my favorite ride in the park. There's a pre-show, and as you rise up the tower, there's a screen that you're looking at that helps progress the story. There are different effects that happen on the ride vehicle itself to freak you out. And then, of course, it has an awesome drop at the end. Fantastic ride. Really surprised me. At the time, I hadn't done anything else quite like it before. It gives me hope that whatever they do next will be just as thoughtful of an installation. And they do have some land next to Crazy Professor that seems like it's being saved for something. I don't know what, but every other roller coaster that they've put in has been very carefully selected to not take up a ton of space. And I definitely think that you could fit another one here. In my opinion, they really need a good, tame family coaster. Something that's different from the rollerball, because that's another very unconventional ride. But I'm thinking a small family launch coaster from either like Intamin or Gerstlauer or even Vekoma. A ride in a compact space that just about anyone can enjoy. I bet you could get really creative, and if done well, I could see that becoming the new most popular ride in the park. So we'll have to see what happens there. I'm sure it is completely dependent on how well the park performs, and I can't really speak about how the crowds usually are, but they've been around now for over 40 years and somehow are still Switzerland's largest amusement park. So good for them. I'm definitely glad I went. It exceeded my expectations in that I didn't think it was actually going to be themed at all, and the theming that was in place was actually quite nice, and in the future I hope they're able to make it a bit more consistent. But I still think Switzerland deserves a much larger, more proper theme park. For such an incredible country, I'm surprised that another one hasn't come along. Because it gets super cold there and winters last a long time, I feel like a really well-themed indoor park would do so well. In talking to locals, it seemed like most of them would actually rather drive the 4 hours or whatever it is up to Europa Park in Germany, and that's where they really get their theme park fix. Because at the end of the day, Conny-Land, despite its originality, does not stack up in the impressive lineup of European theme parks, which is fine. There's still a place for small parks like this, but if you are visiting this area and need to prioritize, there are other locations that I would likely recommend going to first. But you can let me know down in the comments below if you've been to Conny-Land in Switzerland, if you agree with the points that I brought up, and if you think there's anything I missed, be sure to post it down below. And stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.